Kazakhstan International Vectors program informs you about international relations, political opinions, economic solutions and social development. Comfort is the only thing our civilization can give us. Oscar Wilde, English philosopher and writer. Where do countries find funding for infrastructure? What roads are being built in Kazakhstan? How many profit may bring one tenge invested in infrastructure? According to forecasts of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, in 2015 the world GDP will double and will make $145 trillion. This happens primarily through the development of infrastructure. In the next 20 years, the volume of passenger traffic will increase by 2.5 times, air freight will triple and container transportation will increase fourfold. Today, the demand for large infrastructural projects is growing. By 2017 in Istanbul, the construction of the world's largest airport with 6 runways will be completed. By 2019, the Nicaraguan Channel could be being built, which would connect the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. It will become an alternative to Panama Channel, which has already reached its bandwidth limit. Infrastructural facilities, which are subsequently becoming profitable, require significant financial investments. According to the estimations of McKinsey Global Institute, the minimum need for infrastructural investment in the world today is from $57 to $67 billion for the period from 2013 to 2030, with an average $3.9 trillion per year. By 2035, it should increase to $80 trillion over the same period. Telecommunications, water and energy supply demand cash flows. However, most in need of the development are the transportation links, airports, ports, railways and, in the first place, highways. Having a good automobile road network promotes the development of people's communications, the movement of transport and goods. Some economically remote distances, or rather transport remote distances, they are getting reduced in the presence of high-quality, safe roads. Freight traffic is increasing, the cost of freight traffic and transportation of goods is being reduced. This comprehensively affects the development of the economy and society. This allows reducing the cost of goods and increasing the number of working places. There is also another effect from the road construction in different countries. State investing resources and financing to the construction of roads invests funds which are further going into circulation, meaning people get salaries, companies get working capital, income is being received and the money being poured into the economy. Accordingly, the multiplicative effect happening is very large. Transportation infrastructure in different countries has different levels of development. African and Latin American countries, for example, have little or no railways. On the Eurasian continent, both rail systems and highways are equally developed. There are no problems in traveling between the cities. Kazakhstan now is involved in the construction of transport logistics corridors, but this is being done mostly just for large transport, for the freight, relatively speaking. If to talk about the urban transport systems, now there is a lack of quality infrastructure in public transport. During the organization of transport infrastructure of the city today, not only the accessibility and convenience to citizens is in value, but also its environmentally friendliness. Developed countries are now thinking about how to minimize transport emissions. With this in mind, for example, a new district of Vienna is being built. At first, the metro was brought there, also public transport, 7 bus lines. And all these were done when there was only a field and a small lake. And only after that they have begun constructing a neighborhood. So those people who will live in this neighborhood, they initially are focused on the use of public transport. The concept of development of this district is based on the fact that no automobiles are allowed to move across this district. The residents can leave their cars in the garage, which will be built at the outskirts of this great district. Many countries of the world do not have enough funds for infrastructure development. On average, underfunding in this sphere comprises from 20 to 40% of actual needs. However, with an increase in investments, state revenues will grow. A payoff of investments in infrastructure is very quick. Starting from 1933-1934 and up to 1937-1938, America was able to reach a pre-crisis level of economical development. This experience we can take as an example to follow. All the same, this is a classic case when the investments in infrastructure and infrastructure development have helped to get out of one of the deepest crises that economic history remembers. According to the international analytical agencies, Brazil, India, the US and Kazakhstan should increase the investments in infrastructure, and Japan, China and Germany are able to reduce the amount of such investments in the coming years. The city of Osaka in Japan did not have land under the construction of the airport, as there was no free space and the curvature of the terrain did not allow building the runway. It was decided to build the Kansai airport on the water. 1987 was the beginning of construction of Kansai. After the long-lasting research, engineers felt that the airport building will sink unevenly. The perfect decision was found. Firstly, all ventilation was not attached to the floor but to the ceiling, and secondly, the whole construction was set up on 900 columns with the sensor. Thus, when any of them sinks, the sensor notifies the computer and column is being lifted to the required level. Kansai Airport is being successfully operating since 1994. At the moment, the rate of subsidence of Kansai is 5 centimeters per year. How the Eurasian Development Bank is helping to improve the living conditions of Kazakhstanis. Why does the green energy help saving large amounts of money? The major part of the investment in infrastructure is generally made by the state. Its share in the world, on average, comprises 65% of the investment. The remaining 35% are private investments, which consist of the earnings of infrastructure companies and bank loans from the international financial institutions, such as the World Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Asian Development Bank, and others. The Eurasian Development Bank is active in this field in Kazakhstan. Projects in the improvement of housing conditions are clearly a priority for us, and those areas that are listed in the Nurly Joly, namely drainage, heat supply and gas supply in the regions and cities of the Republic of Kazakhstan, is clearly a priority for us. We have now as borrowers a number of national companies which are already engaged in this kind of supply in specific regions. The bank has projects that are being implemented as a public-private partnership and private projects with a commercial bias. The bank is planning to participate in one of the global projects, the construction of Ring Road in Almaty, which will implement the infrastructure solutions for the optimization of the traffic load on the region. Infrastructure solutions in Kazakhstan lead to solutions of a more global nature, where we provide the integration between Russia, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, and we aim to consider new projects to provide a new level of trade across the country. As a result of these investments, alternative areas of rail and road transportation will appear. Many transports will be, and thus the goods can become cheaper. In recent years, many countries are making efforts to develop public-private partnership in the field of infrastructure construction. The total volume of private investment in public-private partnership over the past 10 years has increased almost fourfold, up to $180 billion. In the total volume of infrastructure investments, the share of PPP is 8%. Accessibility of roads and logistically advantageous solutions emerge the economy. Availability of infrastructure contributes much to the development of society as a whole. In Kazakhstan, there is a program Nurly Joly, which aims to improve the infrastructure system of the Republic. It was developed and adopted in 2015. At the moment, in 2016, active works on the construction of 3 roads are being carried out. These roads are the center-south, east-center, center-west directions. As a part of the road center-south direction, the highway Almaty-Kapchagai is being constructed. It is planned that in 2016, to the end of this year, the road will be built to the full. Deterioration of the existing networks is one of the problems that Kazakhstan is solving today. The reconstruction of engineering networks, railways and highways is being carried out. The infrastructure also requires the sealing of road networks. Today, the most developed is meridional direction in the first place to the north. The need of roads development also involves the latitudinal direction, that is, from east to west. The direction of the Republican importance is the highway Karaganda-Aktau. Many roads are also being built from Astana in the direction of Pavlodar, Ust-Kamenogorsk, as a part of the road center-east direction. There's a large amount of work currently underway. Part of this road is also a road bridge in the district of Pavlodar above the Irtysh River. It is also in principle planned to be finished in 2016. The bridge itself is unique. Its length is 12.5 kilometers and in principle major technologically complex operations are already completed. What remains to do is the work on the road coverage and accomplishment of the bridge. The problem with the road Atarau-Aktaber is being solved. On the nearest future, the total reconstruction of the site is planned. The construction of the road Western Europe-Western China is coming to an end. Kazakhstan plans to complete its part in 2016, Russia by 2020. The global project linking Europe and China has not only helped Kazakhstan to infiltrate into the world's infrastructure, but also to improve road connections between the parts of the country. The transport infrastructure within the cities is also not left apart. The energy security of the state also depends on the infrastructure development. That is, the conditions under which the consumer has an access to the necessary energy and the supplier has an access to his or her customers. We are talking about both the physical and monetary affordability. In Kazakhstan today, the largest pipeline in the history of the republic's independence is being built. It will play a role in increasing government revenues and help to achieve a balance between energy surplus and energy scarce regions. I'm engaged in the construction, in the implementation of projects in the sphere of pipeline transportation, in pipelines construction as well, in civil construction. At that, I am currently engaged in the construction of the main gas pipeline named Bainau-Shymkent-Bozoy. Many infrastructure projects in the energy sector are being implemented in Kazakhstan. Up to 70% of power plants in the country are running on the coal. However, the country is moving towards renewable energy, water, sun and wind. In the southern regions, solar power stations are already put into operation. There are also some wind power stations. I'm in Jambul region. The Kodai wind power, it has, in principle, about 20, even a little more than 20 wind units. They generate electricity. In the southern region, we have a problem with shortage of electricity in Jambul Oblast, Shymkent region, Kyzyroda Oblast. In these areas, in my opinion, it is necessary to build a solar power plant. Increasing the energy efficiency of cities helps to save on utility bills, improve the supply of heat and electricity in those regions. New infrastructure solutions are beneficial both for consumers and for the state itself. There are studies of economists and the opinion that every tenge invested in infrastructure projects gives growth to GDP in the amount of 5 times as much. Annually, on the development of infrastructure in Kazakhstan, about $320 million are being allocated. This means that the profit from the money invested in the communication will be also significant.